All righty. Two smiling guys, but that won't last long. We're going to kick things off with what's the biggest disappointment for Michigan State football in, well, a stretch of disappointments. Let's find out.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. Just visit FanDuel.com to get started. Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, thank you all so much for tuning in to Locked On Spartans. It's your team in green and white 5 days a week. Please rate, review, subscribe. Join us in this riveting conversation with the one, the only Kevin Greck. He is 1/3 of the fantastic Can't Read, Can't Write podcast. Kevin, 85 degrees and sunny in East Lansing right now. Birds are chirping. We're all in a great mood, right? Is that how we're starting this chat?
That's correct. In fact, we started day drinking over here in East Lansing. It's all Operons are out, and everyone's having a good time. And I don't know what this hood sweatshirt's doing. It's ridiculous.
You keep the AC at a 58 degrees of the Greck household. I guess
we like to have it crisp over here. Yes, absolutely.
Getting ready for Friday's kickoff. You're game day ready, and hopefully a game where Michigan State can win their second game in what would be the last 8 games if I'm doing my math right there. Kevin, that's where we're going to start the conversation. Look, we have violent mood swings on this show. We talk about positivity quite a bit, I like to think, but we also talk about what's happening. I think right now is an appropriate time to bring up the question of, well, in a long list of disappointing things that have happened this year, what has been the most disappointing? And this is ironic because this is kind of a conversation I wanted to have with someone at some point this week. Then I listened to you guys over there. Can't Read, Can't Write. You guys had the wonderful Graham Couch on. Just fantastic friend of this program, your program. Just all around great guy. But you guys did talk about Jack Velling. What on earth is going on there? Your co-host, also friend of this program, Mike Jones, he said that, you know what, where did all the hype come from? He said it in jest, but he threw my name out there. He's like, hey, Sheehan gave him a lot of hype. And honest to God, whether it wasn't jest or whether it was serious, he's right. Kevin, that's a guy that we hyped up a lot in this offseason. On this show, I like to think that it was for good reason. Came off of an 8-touchdown season. Lindgren can scheme him wide open. But, Kevin, that's where I'm going to start right there. It's not just Jack Velling himself, but the whole tight end position has been kind of incredibly underwhelming. Look, they've combined for 423 yards and 0 touchdowns. Purdue tight end has more than that by himself. Velling has 323 yards. That's 36th in the country, so it's not horrible on 30 catches, but has yet to find the end zone. He also needs 115 yards these last 2 games to reach his total from last year. Parachek's been I know he entered the season with an injury, but it can't be the excuse for everything. And, well, Michael Masunas, we haven't seen him since September. So I get why the tight ends have been less productive than we've hoped. It helps to have a run game. It helps over at Oregon State, too. They had Silas Bolden, the speedy slot receiver. Have a weapon like that to take eyes off your tight end. But point blank, it's not like there's a plethora of weapons over here, Kevin, where it's like, oh, man, we're just spreading the ball out too much. We just don't have any balls for our tight ends. That's where I start with disappointing. So what route do you want to go? Do you want to go player-specific, be mean bullies and talk about these kids, or is there something else that's getting your goat, Kevin? Because tight ends I whiffed on completely.
When you proposed this subject, Jack Velling came first to mind to me. Yeah. So I wanted to just go for the transfers overall. But actually going back and looking through them, there's some misses, but there's also some hits as well. You know, Tanner Miller is grading out pretty well. He's in a rough spot. You know, there are injuries on the O-line. He's filling a lot of gaps. We have other guys that are contributing in there. So I'm going to go instead to the defensive line. Okay. I listened to a lot of Locked On Spartans just to double down on Mike Jones's joke from earlier. I listened to a lot of Locked On Spartans over the summer, and I remember that refrain. The teeth of this defense are right up there on the line. And, man, there have been flashes of it, but especially lately, it has been bad, just getting gashed by teams. Yeah. And I understand that is partially a personnel thing. Like, we saw a number of edge guys walk out the door. You know, who can forget Joe
Spartan legend by Job.
By Job. By Job. He gone. Zion Young is gone. Pape now at Indiana, which was meme material when it happened, and now I guess we're eating that crow.
Who's laughing now?
Yeah, he's laughing now. He's the one laughing right now. He doesn't know why, but right now in Bloomington, wherever he is, Andrew DePape just had himself a little chortle. Are we allowed to mention the names Simeon Barrow and Derek Herman? Like, those are guys that are starting right now on top 10 teams.
They're doing okay. Yeah, they're fine. Yeah.
Top 1 teams. Were we in full copium mode when we were saying like these departures don't matter?
So, again, you'll have to check me on this, but like, my refrain was like, you know what? Maybe the drop off from the starters to whoever's next. Fine. You know what? Hey, we got Big Worm, baby. Maverick Hansen, he's been here for 69 years. You know, that's experience. Alex Van Sumer, but the concern came with the depth, and that's why I didn't say offensive line's been the biggest letdown, because that was always a well-known issue going into this season. Did I ever think it'd be this catastrophically bad? No, I'm not gonna lie. I did not think that Childs would be running for his life the entirety of every game that's about to take place here in November. But the defensive line is a good one, because even if you had the most pessimistic point of view, even if you did think that there was a big drop-off from, Harmon and Barrow to whoever's behind, even if you thought the depth, was non-existent, never in your life could you see a sackless streak that has now gone on 6 games, the worst in nearly 2 decades in FBS football. So no matter how low your expectations were, full FBS. Yeah. So no matter how low your expectations were, for pass rush at the very least, run game, if you catch them on a good day, they're still solid, but they've still even gone under very low expectations, no matter how low they were. I think that's incredibly fair. I think so.
Yeah. So that's where I would start. I think the other
start, unfortunately,
the other disappointment I have is I think we're moving the goalposts as a program a little bit.
Okay. Do tell.
And I memed on you a couple times. I was on my podcast, Can't Read, Can't Write, all summer, being like, look at the schedule, guys. Don't worry about it. It gets a little rough in the middle, but then we're gonna ramp up at the end. We're gonna feel really good as we accelerate into a bowl. I look at the product on the field, and it doesn't seem like we're playing our best football right now.
You wouldn't say so? No, getting absolutely your cheeks clapped by Illinois isn't.
Yeah, no, it didn't have that. Okay. Didn't have that on the list with going to Bert's house and getting dolled up. But maybe this changes. Maybe we start to feel good in this game against Purdue, which is. We need to have this conversation again. It would be catastrophic to lose at home on a Friday. But I know that the injuries are piling up. I know that there are issues, but I was hoping that we could at least grab a couple position groups and say, there is incremental improvement game over game. And right now, I'm struggling. Maybe quarterback, maybe it's Aiden Childs, but other than that, I think
so. But that's one.
I'm
that's just one, right?
Yeah.
That's. Well, hope everyone's having a good time listening to this right now. Hey, you know what? If there's one thing we do here at Lockdown Spartans, it's of course not nail everything we say in the off season. It's also not give you the runaround and just say that it's. I was gonna say that it's 85 and sunny outside, but that's literally how we started the show. Anyway,
blowing sunshine is where we started. So what are you gonna do?
We just had to get it out of our system before we got to straight talk. All right, guys, more straight talk coming up here in a little bit. Also some shooty hoops talk. All right, but first need to talk everyone's ears off about skylight frames. Now, let's say that you don't know what you're going to get someone for Christmas, because it's going to be here before you know it, or any holiday that you celebrate, of course. And let's say there's someone in your life that's like, well, I've been buying for grandma my entire life. What on earth am I going to get her? She has everything. Skylight frame is where we start this conversation, folks. Now, it's a perfect gift. I'm just going to shoot you straight. Skylight frame is the touchscreen digital photo frame your whole family will love. Upload thousands of photos with your phone and watch them appear in seconds. Or if you got siblings out there, you want to get a gift for your parents, pool your money together. Make it a group gift, because adding photos is so easy to this digital frame. It doesn't really matter where they live either. You can send photos across the country and they will appear right there on that frame. Setup takes less than 60 seconds, and it is seamless to share these photos. Invite friends and family to easy share photos via the free Skylight mobile app or email. No account or subscription is even required. And the touchscreen is a game changer. Swipe through photos, tap to see new photos sent, tap the heart button to say thank you to the sender. Keep the family connected in your life with Skylight Frame. And now, as a special limited time offer for our listeners, get $20 off your purchase of a Skylight Frame when you go to skylightframe.com/college. That's SKYLIGHTFRAME.com/college. Get $20 off your purchase now at skylightframe.com/college. Also, hey, you know what? Michigan State, 13.5-point favorites as things stand right now on FanDuel. Now, if you didn't care for anything you said in the first segment, you think that things are going great here in East Lansing, that the Spartans are going to pulverize those Boilermakers, well, hop on over to America's #1 sports book. Of course, we are talking FanDuel. And, well, if college football doesn't go well for you and you just want to skip right to NFL, well, they got you covered there. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get the hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You will get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Now let's drag him back out here. It's Kevin Greck of the Can't Read, Can't Write podcast. And Kevin, let's crack open the mailbag, shall we, over at LockedOnSpartans@gmail.com. Let's get nuts, because you know what? Derek, he actually hit us with a few questions. We're going to focus on this one because this is more financial advice. I don't know your expertise, Kevin, but let's just give it a whirl anyway. He writes in, is my over 4.5 wins ticket going to cash, or am I done betting MSU forever? Now, if you just skipped over the ad read, you missed that Michigan State is overwhelming favorites in this game on Friday. 13.5-point favorites, which I know Purdue's bad. You want my quick advice? I think that's way too high of a spread for Michigan State's trenches. Regardless, Kevin, Can Derek already start spending that money? Is winning one of two a guarantee, the Greck guarantee?
I've never been asked to put the Greck guarantee on anything, but
well, showtime, buddy. Let's go.
Yep. We started with blowing sunshine. Mm-hmm. We went to the doldrums, and now I'm back. Spend that money.
Yes.
You know, Christmas is coming early. Let's go. Get yourself 2 Skylight frames.
Oh, company man. Let's go.
That's right. That's right. I think both of them being home games, a Friday night, I know that Coach Smith mentioned multiple times as if to set expectations that it's a short preparation week. It's also a short prep week for Purdue, by the way, and then they've got to go on the road. Yeah. Right. And they're just a terrible team. So I would expect between that and is it fair to say a Rutgers team kind of in free fall, like also really looking for its mojo right now? Between those two, I have to think that one of those would come home for our guy. And, you can feel pretty confident, I think, in hitting the over on the 4.5. What do you think, though?
I like where your head's at. Like, yes, I do think Michigan State will beat Purdue. I don't think it's going to be this walkover, though. Like, I understand Purdue's really bad. And Michigan State, yeah, they've also lost 6 of their last 7. It's not bad everywhere, but it is like almost historically bad on that pass rush. I don't even know why I said almost historically bad. We just talked about how it's been almost 2 decades since the team's gone this long without a sack. Like, with how football games are won and lost, which is by and large in the trenches, I'm seeing Aiden Childs take a snap from shotgun, and then from his right side, he's getting met with a defender almost every single snap, it seems like. And then, well, on the contrary, the pass rush can't get home against me, you, and the first 3 listeners of this episode. So I guess just because the Nick Marsh factor alone right there, Purdue's really bad in pass protection. They play 1 high safety. Nick Marsh could be feasting this game, so it might just simply be that we got the best skill position players. But that Rutgers game, my confidence has faded because I don't know how you win with what we got going on the offensive line and defensive line. And of course, the injuries, the depth, we all know the excuses there. Point blank, that's what you're taking the field with, though. So I like your answer a lot more.
Good, let's just go with my answer. My answer is better.
I'm just going to edit my entire answer out, actually.
So I will say for Rutgers, it's been a long time since that Washington win, and the Sheehans kind of come off that one anyway. Yeah. Now, I do know that they just went on the road to Maryland, which is something that our team did at the beginning of the year.
Great times.
Got to win. Yeah. So, if you want the transitive property, it does seem like a pretty even, maybe edge to Rutgers type matchup, which is difficult to say out loud. But still. Senior day, 3:30 at home. I'm taking the over on 4.5. I would do it today. I'd do it right now.
Sold out Spartan Stadium too, because I heard all the cries last year when the game got moved to Ford Field that people were very upset. Senior day got moved, so I better see 70,000 strong. That's right. If I see a sliver of metal bleacher during that game,
you're gonna go down there yourself.
I'm gonna have to, Kevin. That's right. Now, Nicholas writes in a fun question here. I do like this. Would you rather Michigan State lose out this year, but turn it around and go 10-2 next year, but missing the college football playoff, or we win out, but we only go 8-4 next year? Nicholas himself writes, I'd rather go for the first option, but I'm curious what you think. Kevin, bat first on this one. Is it an easy answer? Are we just going for the first one, or where are you at with this?
Oh, yeah. 10-2 is a palate cleanser. Like the misery that I would experience now with not going to a bowl game, I'm already kind of in that energy. So it just means holding it for a while. And then next year, boom, big improvement. And 8-4 would be... It would be a better outcome than this season, but given, and again, I'm schedule watching just like I was for this year, given the schedule for next year, which is kind of got Indiana type elements to it. I'm looking for next year to be a slingshot for this program, and 10-2 would serve to do that, even missing the college football playoff. So I would take your devil's bargain and option number one. What about you, Matt Sheehan?
Oh no, we miss a bowl game? As if we haven't lived that the last 2 years. Look, the world keeps spinning. Does it suck? Absolutely, but I'm already as beaten down as I could possibly be. So if it's one more bowl-less year and I get a 10-win season out of the next one, yeah, I'm taking that trade every single time. Now, will it drive us to insanity that, oh my God, we just won 10 games and we're not in the college football playoff? Like, could you imagine being an Indiana fan right now, your team's undefeated, and they're talking about how you shouldn't make the playoff? No, Kevin, I actually can't imagine, because we are not in their shoes. I'm dying just to be in those shoes, Kevin. I want to be talked about in November.
And imagine the content, Matt Sheehan, the content. You and I, the audience doesn't think about this, but you and I, we could be so aggrieved on those episodes.
You mean you're not having fun talking about, hey, what's the biggest letdown of the year as we're at a 6 out of 7 game free fall? That's not your cup of tea for what you want to talk about. I'm sure the listeners are having a great time listening to it, but that's not what you no, I know. I just miss talking about a winning team so bad on here. I've almost forgotten how to do it. Like, I'll have to relearn how to do this show. Should they go into November relevant? So yeah, that's 100% where I'm going to go with. Sure. Bowl game above sports bowl this year, 8-4 next year. You're still on schedule for your rebuild. I think that's, whether people want to hear it or not, I think 8 wins is probably the next step next year. But no, just give me the 10 wins as soon as I possibly can. I'm getting very, very impatient over here. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. Again, I'm just going to say that again. I'm not lying, guys. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. PrizePicks is the only real money daily fantasy sports platform with an injury insurance policy too. So, hey, well, you know what? Your lineup stays in play even if one of your players gets injured. If your player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, PrizePicks keeps your lineup live. How great is that, guys? Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to collect the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed with PrizePicks. PrizePicks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts, like Taco Tuesday each and every Tuesday. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege. That's one word, LOCKEDONCollege, to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, guys, download the app today. Use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 off instantly. $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's at Prize Picks. Run your game. Kevin, you got time for one more football question?
Yeah, of course.
Well, let's do it. Joel writes in. Now, this is something we hit on a little bit after the Illinois game. I kind of lost my marbles a little bit. But he says, I've gone to a few MSU football games this season, and it seems like Jonathan Smith doesn't engage much with the players on the sideline, and he doesn't seem involved in the timeout huddles for offense, defense, or special teams. I don't remember how involved Antonio or Tucker were, but when watching football on TV, it seemed like coaches like Lane Kiffin, Kirby Smart, Ryan Day, etc. were constantly coaching or getting on their players. Is he listening to the huddles and giving his advice through the headset, or does he let his assistants have full control, or is this normal? Either way, it just seems a bit odd that the head coach isn't as involved. Got to shout out my dad here really quick, because after the FAU game, we talked about the game, as we often do after Saturdays, and he said, hey, you know what? I nerded out, and I was staring at Smith a lot in the game just to see how he engaged with other people, and he didn't do it at all. I thought that was really odd. I'll also say this, that's what draws people to Smith, is that he's a hands-off CEO type guy. He has full trust in his coaches. But Kevin, I do think it has crossed a bridge of I think it is a tad odd at this point. And you know what I did last night in a very healthy manner? I watched the Oregon State-Oregon 2022 game where the Beavers had a great win over the Ducks, just to see, even in the most emotionally fueled win that this guy's had as a head coach, if he was still like that. And it turns out he was. He truly is just the BPM heart rate is always where it should be. He's never too high nor too low. Yes, the mic is down. He was talking a little bit more than we've seen, but rarely talking to players in person, coaches in person, never really shown emotion whatsoever. So, but again, I mean, in my full-time job, if I could just be selfish, I work under someone that is very hands-off, and I do appreciate that. But if all of a sudden, my company is hemorrhaging money and our team is absolutely faltering, I would expect my boss to approach me, maybe in a rah-rah fashion, or give some advice, or just seem somewhat engaged if things aren't going well. And I think at this point, it's safe to say things aren't going well. So again, I'm not the player. I'm not the coach. I'm just an idiot fan with the podcast. I think it's a little bizarre at this point, but what say you, Kevin? Has it crossed the bridge of just being hands-off to just being a little too disengaged?
I look at you going back, running the tape on
we nerd out.
Oregon State.
You like that film breakdown? That's right, baby. We do it all.
Yeah. Yeah. That is not the type of content that you can expect to Can't Read, Can't Write. So listeners, stay here, locked on for that. Very impressive stuff. I would say he set expectations at the beginning of the year. And so far, I don't know how you feel about this. You're probably also watching the tape on his press conferences. He's a transparent guy, and he told us, he set the expectations at the beginning. I'm hands off. I hired these coordinators to do the job. I don't interfere. And is there something to, maybe if you believe in the plan, you stick to it? Maybe deviating would bring its own problems at this point. But he also, in his press conference, talks about, I'm listening to the play call. I'm informing what we should be doing. We have a conversation about these things. So I think there is conversation happening. I think he is involved in the wider game. And then we also don't see what he's like in practice, or I don't. Did you get an NF Tuck last year? Do you have access to
not
that
enough
level?
not enough to turn it into a practice appearance. So I was one away, and then it cratered. Something happened last September that lost all of its value.
There's no telling what it could be. The market is fickle,
It is a little wonky out there, isn't it? Yeah. But no. So at this point, that's what people are kind of drawn to with him, I suppose, for better or for worse. It might be getting the for worse situation right now, but look, steady hand, I guess, which from a 30,000 foot view, maybe that's just what this program needs. It's certainly what they need in the offseason, just a steady hand. And now we see it play out during game days. So I'm not the only question of that ilk sent in by Joel. There are a few people that had similar questions to that, but I'm glad that Joel wrote the way he did. That was a good exercise right there. Do you want to go to Shooty Hoops really quick, Kevin? By the way,
let's talk. Let's talk about the hardwood. Let's go.
Chase Richardson, he's hurt. Just going to give a quick update there. Izzo said that it could be a few days. Looks like a sprain. They weren't sure after the game. I would be a little surprised if he does play in Maui, but maybe it's just a little ankle sprain that a 11-hour flight can't fix. That's what they say for lower body injuries. Get on a pressurized tube immediately
and just sit in the same spot for 11 hours.
That's right. On a screen that works every half hour, that buffers a little bit more than you'd want to. So no, this is good for everyone here. But after the game, Michigan State, they start 4-1. They got some wins over some non-con mid-major teams, and they lost against Kansas. I went out on the old twitter.com and I said 5 games down for MSU basketball, point blank. You are feeling great, just fine. All right. And then we are NIT bound. Now, there's 1,126 votes here. Would you like to place the 1,127th vote? Kevin, how are you feeling? Are you great? Just fine? Or are you already getting your NIT ticket package all set up?
I think this is a just fine situation. I think this is what I've seen of this team so far is that it's comfortably a tournament team. Okay. Is it at the level that MSU fans expect and that Tom Izzo sets the expectations for? No, it's not. So if I were to say, it would be by MSU expectations, but as general program, basketball teams, the goal is getting to the tournament. I'm feeling just fine. What about you, Matt?
I'm going to join you, actually, which would be the second leading vote getter. All right, got 52.4% of the votes, but our Just Fine camp over here, Kevin, 33.9% of the votes. We are NIT bound was 11%, and then there are 2.7 of you out there that think that things are going great. But I think it's just fine. I know that it wasn't like, oh my God, a blowout victory over Samford, and I understand that you should be better than a good mid-major team, the best in their conference, but that's still a good Samford team. Right, it was as solid of a win as you can get over a mid-major non-conference opponent at home in the offseason.
And one that throws a lot of interesting looks at you on defense. Certainly. So you get to see what your team is doing. We got to see how the team reacted to a full court press. Sometimes okay.
A zone defense. It was fascinating to see them go through this all. And and they had to be a different team. Like, they couldn't rely on Jackson Kohler as much as they've had the first few games. You saw Jaden Akins have a nice performance, which I said on yesterday's show. Like, that means that he's set for just a 6-point outing against Colorado to kick off the Maui Invitational. But I digress. No, I think things are just fine. But you've said it perfectly. It's not like, oh, we're going to get a 4 seed in the tournament. Woo! Right. Like, I'm going to need to see a little more than that. But we can start seeing things here in Maui, Kevin, because look, this is a stacked bracket coming up. Chaminad's not even in this thing. They do every other year. This is not one of the years that you could even, maybe get lucky and face Chaminade. But regardless, Michigan State does get started with the lowest ranked opponent in Colorado, based on BartTorvik.com. All the others well under, or I guess above Colorado in the rankings.
Yep.
What has to happen for it to be deemed a success on the islands in Hawaii? For me, I'm just going to go simple. You got to go 2-1. And I know that is asking a lot. By no means am I saying that, hey, that's a shoe-in guaranteed. No, that will be hard. Even if you do lose your first game, your second game, like, the consolation bracket's still going to have some dogs in it. I see 2-1, Kevin. Is it simple as that for you?
Well, it's tough that you go up against UConn in the second round. In all likelihood, obviously they have to win. Should things work out?
Yeah,
right. But that is the expectation. So I like your approach of 2-1. My initial reaction was appearance in the championship game, but I think maybe 2-1, given the bracket and how it's worked out, is a better way of saying it. So I'm going to take your answer on that.
Thing I'm looking forward to the most in Maui. And I thought this, I actually tweeted this out after Michigan State started 0 of 9 yesterday from 3. They're a horrendous 3-point shooting team. They need nothing more in life than to go to a civic center where the rims have been there for a little longer than your standard college basketball arena, and just, clank a few threes in. Just some buttery, soft, shooter's touch rims. This is what this team needs. Just to see it fall in the worst way. I don't care if it takes 8 bounces off the rim and goes in. Like, we need some soft rims in our lives just to get this team's confidence rolling. I will say they did end the game. I think it was 7 of 15 shooting after they started at 0 of 9. So things were working out better. But that's just one micro thing that I want to see in Maui. I don't know if you have anything there, but yeah, I just had to add that this team will benefit from playing in a high school gymnasium, essentially.
Yeah, I agree with that. This is unrelated to the team, but I am a company man.
Okay,
I'm interested. Sure. Is there a prop bet available that we can set for how many fights Auburn is going to get in? Like when you've got a flight
that's 11
that long,
hours worth of flights. Yeah.
Is it over under 2.5 brawls that they can get into? I think we just need to check on that.
I will. And we're doing a Locked On college basketball roundtable with all the Maui teams later today. I'm going to bring that up with our friends
that question.
Locked On Auburn. Because, at that point, 11 hours of flying, do you have an undercard? Do you bring on the cross-country team to also duke it out, too?
Do we give Netflix another shot at live streaming? Like, it would be more entertaining, probably.
It would be less fixed, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You got that? This is just genius stuff right here. That's why we bring you on, Kevin. That's what I'm talking about. Before we let you go, enjoy the rest of your week before I absolutely ruin your Friday by meeting you up at a tailgate and just wonderful weather conditions outside of Spartan Stadium. Anything you want to plug, anything you want to say, any thoughts you want to get off your chest? The mic is truly yours within reason.
I do have to talk about the basketball team. I'm making a wish to the entire audience. Okay. Pray to whomever you pray to that we figure out this rotation situation. Because you brought this up earlier. Andy H., MSU legend on Twitter, calling out in his over-unders how the team is performing with the starters in and with the reserves in, and it is rough for the starters. And it's not just Xavier Booker. I know.
No, it's not. Right.
But it's not just that. So we got to figure that out. I'd like to see that happen in Maui a little bit, start to improve there. But other than that, catch us on Can't Read, Can't Write. Occasionally, we get to have guests on as well. Maybe sometimes they're locked on. Maybe that's something being discussed on Friday. Maybe that happens in the near future. But other than that, thank you so much, Matt, for having me on again. It's always a good time.
You're the best, Kevin. Everyone over there, you, Mike, Alex, even though, oh God, I can't have Alex on the show because I'm scared I'd have to do like a half hour of editing after because wow. He paints a colorful picture with his language. Let me tell you that. But if you can stomach it over there, guys, you got to go check out Can't Read, Can't Write.
It would be a half-hour episode that you'd have to condense down to about 12 minutes, most of which would be ad reads, but you'd get something out of them.
Well, numbers at the very least. So. If not for nothing else, ratings would be through the roof. And stern phone call, if not an outright firing for Mr. Locked On. But hey, you know what? Maybe we'll just put that in fate's hands one day. All right, guys, we will be back tomorrow. Of course, we're going to talk about this MSU Purdue game. It will be a little rosier. We'll have Chase Classer of Spartans Illustrated on, trying to find a roadmap to 2 wins here to end the season. But hey, until then, love you all. Go Green.